Hello everyone, I'm Noshin Alam. I work as a lecturer at American International University Bangladesh, also known as AIOB. Today in this presentation, I'm going to discuss how you can create easily shareable teaching content in digital form. For this, first we are going to discuss how you can create your lecture using a variety of different methods and by combining different type of materials like pre-recorded PowerPoint presentation, books like in Word documents and PDFs, writing that you do on actual physical paper, writing that you perform on some sort of smart pad using a stylus, and so on. In addition to discussing how to create your lecture, we will also cover how to record the lecture before your actual class and be better prepared for it. We will also cover how to edit these videos to suit your needs. In addition to talking about a video copy of your lecture, we will also discuss about having a document copy of your lecture, that is mainly PDF version of your lecture. This is because as a teacher, you have to handle a lot of documents like student assignments, research papers, and reference books, etc. So in the later part of this presentation, we are going to put a lot of focus on handling documents, which means that we are going to familiarize ourselves with annotating documents like grading student assignments or using OCR software to extract text from physical documents that you have scanned, and so on. So before we go into detail about any of these processes, I'd like to make a small disclaimer. Although my motivation behind making this presentation was to help my colleagues at AIOB, and a good section of the content that's going to be covered in this presentation was already covered in a workshop I took for my department, there is no content in this presentation that involves confidential material belonging to AIOB. So that means everything we're going to do using Microsoft Office and free materials available in the internet. It's all just going to be free software. Okay. So with that said, let's move on to the main part of our lecture. A short note before we start. Originally, this was supposed to be a single video, but because there are simply too many topics to cover, I have divided the video into multiple parts. So if you're interested in only a single topic, feel free to look at the playlist and choose the video you want. The first question we should be asking ourselves is what exactly online learning can consist of? The teaching content we create can be of many forms. The first and the most obvious form would be PowerPoint slides, which allow easy visual learning. For best viewing, it is better to keep slides brief, containing organized summaries of the teaching content. However, in addition to the summarized presentations, for a more thorough lecture delivery, we need to use something that the teacher can write on and explain. That is why we have blackboards or whiteboards in physical classrooms. In a digital learning environment, we can use digital whiteboards as a replacement to physical writing surfaces. For this, we need a smart pen or pad. Let's take a look at a demonstration I made on my Android tablet. So in order to do something like this, you will need an app that will provide a digital whiteboard for us to write on. I'm using Samsung Notes here. It provides me with a set of pen tools that give me different color and sized pens. These allow me to properly label my lecture content, and it's easier for students to follow along. We can write as we narrate step-by-step content of our lectures. This is just like a physical classroom. Now, if you instead prefer to write using physical pen and paper, you need to set up your writing environment so it can be recorded in high definition and the text is legible and clear. Here is a very DIY setup I put together in a few minutes where I just balanced my Android picture with a selfie stick above a paper. For better results, I recommend using a pen holder, which we will discuss in later slides, and use better and brighter lighting arrangement. Next, you might also want to include the simulation results from some software in your lecture to relate theoretical concepts with real-world uses, or you might want to refer to other supplementary media like educational pictures, video, Word or PDF documents of books and papers. Our goal is to create an organized lecture that will combine as many of these components as you need. The reason we focus so much on recording lectures is because when a teacher records their lecture beforehand, they learn how to effectively ration their time during classes, gain a clearer understanding of how to present their teaching content, and manage to refresh their memory regarding all the topics they are going to teach. It's also possible to effectively combine different types of learning mediums in just one recording that you are going to provide to your students. This provides the students the opportunity to review what they learn in class very easily, because when they have the recording with narrations by the teacher made at all relevant points, it's much better and easier for them to remember what they learned. In this presentation, we are going to use the words live sharing and pre-recording quite often, and we are going to compare how things are slightly different when you have a lecture recorded before your class starts versus the lecture you record when you are giving the lecture to your students. When you live share, you give your lecture in real time, either by whiteboard writing or by paper writing, and you share that lecture in real time with your students, and you do this by some video conferencing app like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Skype, etc. If you're using whiteboard writing, it's enough to just share your screen. If you're using paper writing, you should also have to go through some extra steps because you need to display the process of you writing on paper or some kind of physical board, and the default webcam mounted on your laptop might not be enough for that. You will need to use a separate camera as a webcam or use some wireless webcam so that what you're writing is clearly visible on the screen and to your students. Either way, the step-by-step process of your writing will be visible on your computer screen, which you can share with your students in the video conferencing app. Sometimes the video conferencing app will allow you to record your teaching process, and if in case it does not, you will have to use some sort of screen recording app. Once the class is over, you can share the recorded video with your students. In this method, any mistakes made when you're taking the class and any off-topic interactions during class may also end up being recorded, which is not ideal. Microsoft Teams does not have the option to pause recording, and while Zoom and some other dedicating screen recording apps do, the end result is still a little awkward compared to pre-recording. Now, if you have a pre-recorded video, things are going to be different. Here, you create your lecture beforehand, once again, which can be whiteboard writing or paper writing. In order to do that, you record what you're doing step by step before the class. This process is similar to before, but we necessarily do not have to bring everything to the computer screen. For example, it's possible to record yourself writing on a page with a normal camera and transfer the video file to PC later. Either way, once you have created your lecture, you can show your recorded video to your students and narrate over it whenever necessary and pausing whenever you are engaging directly with your students. This way, the video only contains the necessary content relevant to teaching, and the teacher is also better prepared. Pre-recording also particularly useful for lectures where you need to include some time-consuming element like simulation software that takes a long time to start or load. You can just run the simulation beforehand, record the process and results, edit the video to make it shorter, and present the shorter video to your students. However, if you purely rely on pre-recording and are not equipped to answer the student questions in real time using live sharing methods, that might create a barrier in student-teacher communication. So it's better to use a mix of both methods. Assuming that we are pre-recording, this is the process of making a video lecture using PowerPoint presentation as the main component, with all the other type of materials embedded in it. So in order to get your final output, you will have to first record each individual component. Whatever you're writing on a physical paper, you will have to record it by camera. Whatever you're writing digitally or showing digitally, you'll have to record the computer screen for that. Anything you're writing on your whiteboard, any Word documents or PDFs you're showing, any software you're simulating, you'll have to record the screen to get them. Then you can edit them according to your needs if you wish. This is optional. And then once you've had the videos for these things, you will simply put them inside your main PowerPoint presentation. Then you will add slide narration to the PowerPoint. That is basically the things you plan to tell your students during the lecture. And then you are going to export this PowerPoint presentation as a video. This option is in PowerPoint. We'll see how we can do this. Now, if instead of pre-recording, we are live sharing, in that case, we are not going to record these things beforehand. We will simply change between tabs, like one moment you will show your paper writing, then you will go to the PowerPoint presentation tab and resume your lecture. So it's going to be like that if you are live sharing. In the next few slides, we are mainly going to focus on whiteboard writing and paper writing because they are the methods you use when you are trying to communicate to your students and giving explanations and answering their questions, etc. So they are the most important.